on? Okay, great. Okay, everyone, please grab your seat for our ClimateTech career panel. So excited to do this session. I think, sometimes people hear the word climate tech and they're like, what is that? And it can be a very broad term and it can be very specific depending on, the sector and how you're getting involved in the space. So I'm excited to have different experts that cover different facets of this concept of climate tech to help educate you guys about these innovations, these types of startups, and the ways that you can get involved in it. So I would love to have each of you just walk us through your green career journey and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. And thank you, Kristy, for having me. So my name's Yvonne Espinosa, and I'm co-founder of Climate, which is an AI and climate tech, climate upskilling platform where we host, we have cohorts, 6-week cohorts where we train people in AI and climate. And it can be TCFD, it can be all kinds of different regulations, different things like that, but how to use AI in your career. Before that, we were Voice Academy. Some people may have heard of that. That's, and I have been a career coach for the past 5 years. And we train people in project-based learning on things like sustainability analysis, ESG, decarbonization, those types of things, using real-world examples and then having them help them transition into climate careers. We actually this year changed because while we were doing Design Your Climate Career and working with these people and helping them upskill and also land these positions, we saw that AI was changing the whole landscape. And we just felt that in order for people to really get jobs, keep jobs, and continue to thrive in these jobs, we needed to focus on AI. So my background, do you want me to go into my background a little bit? Or yeah, so just, my background a little, way back when, I'll keep it short and relevant. I started out in tech many years ago when technology was just starting. And really, I didn't have a background. I had a German degree, so I had nothing. But I was with tech, and then I was with a company that Xerox Corporation that was working with computers in the foreign language accounts in DC. So I was working with them, and I was working with Palo Alto Research Center, and I was really lucky enough to be able to work and go through and see what was happening in technology and how it was really changing things. I had no background in it, and I just kind of dove in because of the language background. I went to a startup that they had that was continued on that, and that really was where I saw where technology was going years before it came out, and I was really excited about it. I could see what was happening. Fast forward, I had children. I took some career time off, worked in social impact. I actually helped start a school for veterans transitioning out of the military, because I was in San Diego, to learn to grow organically and hydroponically so that when they came out, they could actually go back and have meaningful careers. I also worked with Georgetown University for 15 years with their first generation college students. I was first gen, and going through there, and then was on their board for 8 years. So working with education, impact, trying to help people really get into their careers. And then we started Voice Academy, which was in 2019, to really help people gain the skills they needed. And so this is a continuation, and that's my journey. So it's a pretty long one. I'm sorry.
Oh, I loved it.
So.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Maelys Renaud. So nice to be here. Thank you so much for being here. I am a startup accelerator manager with a background in chemistry and business law. I operate at the intersection of climate tech, capital, and regenerative thinking. I have a little origin story. When I was 5, I grew up in Brittany, France, near the coast, and I witnessed the sinking of an oil tanker off the coast of where I grew up, and it covered the entire marine ecosystem in oil, killed over 100,000 birds, and those images are still like vivid for me, and I know that that was a shock at the time, and that something was built in a way that was not sustainable, and I really wanted to understand what the world was made of and how governance work. And that led me to study those topics and to really want to understand how innovation is incentivized and how we can build better innovations that are working within the planetary boundaries. And currently at the Biomimicry Institute where I work, I support this accelerator program where I source, support and fund nature-inspired technologies, startups that are developing technologies that mimic the natural world, that are taking inspiration from biological strategies found in nature, that can be looking at a microorganism, the structure of a leaf, of a plant leaf, many different types of inspiration that are going to design better technologies translated into human designs, and from there resolving some of our biggest challenges, so that climate, biodiversity loss, our linear economy to turn it into a circular economy, toxicities. So this is what I do right now, and I went through from research in chemistry to working in corporate innovation, science diplomacy, and now in the venture ecosystem. So there are many roads and many passions.
Thank you, Maelys. Hey everyone, Sara Fuentes, founder of Smart Waste, stands for Save Money and Reduce Trash. Anybody touch trash today? Because I seen a bunch of cans on the ground, so I think a lot of us did. What I do for fun is I'm the chairwoman of Women in Clean Tech and Sustainability. It is a nonprofit organization that supports women and men in the green economy. I've been in the clean tech space for over 15 years. I've been a seasoned waste expert for over 15 years. In my previous life, I was an educator. I worked with at-risk youth and special needs children. They're not much different than us adults. They do throw tantrums like us, and maybe every now and then maybe throw something at you. What Smart Waste is a zero waste company, zero waste facilitation company. We're based in Silicon Valley. I grew up in Silicon Valley where you can throw a rock and hit a programmer or an engineer. What I have found is that disruptive technology is where it's at. Anybody agree in the room? Yeah, right. One of the things that we focus at Smart Waste is that we focus on not just the technology, but also human behavior. We also know that the best technology in the world is humans. Anybody agree? I hope that we all agree, being that we're climate people. And I have dedicated my life to this mission to help businesses save money and reduce trash. It is something that I find I'm very passionate about it. And one of the main reasons why is because in my culture, we believe that anything that you take from this earth, you should also give back. And so I live this through my life, not just through my job, but also through my volunteer work. So I would say that what brought me here today is this beautiful lady, and also Women in Clean Tech and Sustainability. So thank you for letting me be on this panel today, Kristy.
Yay! Give them all a round of applause. And I also love that this is also an all-women panel, because the climate tech industry doesn't always have a lot of women. So, and we need more women and women of color.
Yes.
So to start off, based on y'all's different experiences, what are some trends you see taking place within the climate tech industry that folks who want to get into the space should know about? I'm thinking what are the trendy sectors? Where are you seeing a lot of growth happening in the job market with startups or different industries?
So I'm going to jump in here. The climate tech space is no longer just solar panels, right? We have AI. Smart Waste tests waste technologies. We are waste technology agnostic. So one of the reasons why we do this is because of how fast technology changes. right? So our goal is to test the technologies on the commercial sector for the benefit of the public sector. Why? Because that's our taxpayers' money, right? So I would say the first and foremost is the circular economy. How many of us have heard of the circular economy? Okay, so that's a trend in the waste and recycling industry. It's also that we're relabeling things. So we've been doing this for over 50, 100 years of relabeling what we call trash. We used to call it rubbish. Now we call it landfill, but it's always been compost, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is decentralizing processing. We've heard about decentralization, but what does that really mean in the waste and recycling industry? Where the haulers are the ones, which is the franchise haulers. Many of us have seen it. LA Sanitation, UWE, Green Waste Recovery, Republic Services. These are municipality franchises that have an exclusive contract. Right? So decentralization means giving the commercial business back the power by having on-site sorting, by having on-site technology that's actually capturing commodities, okay? And then the last thing I'm gonna say, which I'm sure these ladies will talk about, which is transparency and compliance. We've talked about ESG. I'm gonna bring up another acronym for you folks.
Can you define to people what ESG is? Maybe if anyone doesn't know what that is.
I will let them too, because I'm going to bring up another acronym, which is R2V3 certification. For the waste and recycling industry, one of our unique differentiators is that Smart Waste is R2V3 certified. When we talk about the end of life, we've heard other acronyms about life cycle analysis, right? When we talk about the end of life of material, who knows where it's going, really? Smart Waste will follow a garbage truck. I've done it. Okay, I will show up at a facility to verify that they're really doing what they say they're doing for the customer that I'm serving, right? Why? Because if we want, one of my things that I say, because I mentioned to you that I was a teacher, I want to inspect what I expect. So if that's the case, then at Smart Waste, we want to make sure that we're inspecting what we're expecting for our customers. So we have this status, which is R2V3 status. And if you want to learn more about it, we'll talk about it after the panel. So I'm going to let you go, Maelys.
No, go ahead.
Thank you so much. And I'll take a little different spin on that. We're facing a poly crisis, so there are many opportunities. When it comes to trends, I'm going to mention two that I'm seeing this year in 2026. And the first one, we've mentioned it already, and I think you're going to talk about it a lot more, which is the AI energy infrastructure, innovation, deployments, like throughout the stack. Like there is so much that is happening in this space. And I won't go too deep in there. The second trend that I'm seeing, which I'm really excited about, is the fact that more and more actors are currently treating nature, biodiversity, ecological cycles, water, soil health as critical infrastructure. And that is key for us to build better technologies. And I'm really honored to support companies that are tackling toxicity and other components of that. And I'm seeing more and more investors investing in the intersection of nature-inspired and nature-based solution, nature technologies that are really able to monitor what we're seeing in the world, to be able to better support our foundation of life, like to rebuild technologies that are conducive to life.
No, I have to agree with everything. And I would say for me, what I'm seeing is, circularity, waste, like all of that is really becoming big because even take a simple thing like the rocket that just came down, being able to reuse that again is something that's really huge. So we're looking at that. We're looking at rare earth metals, those types of things, really important. Nature-based solutions. So we're not looking at just carbon anymore. We're looking at what's happening with this whole ecosystem. So how do you get involved in that? There's lots happening there. And then there's the different regulations that, yes, a lot has been pulled back. Energy is one thing that I would say, let me just go back a little bit. Energy would be huge, right? So we're looking at it for not just solar and wind, what we've looked at in the past, but hydrogen, helium, all of these new technologies that we need to really understand. So people are looking at that and trying to understand what we can do, particularly because of the one thing that's happening that's changing everything right now, which is AI and data centers. So I would say there's a lot of opportunity there. It's just looking at, and we'll get into that probably a little bit more, but your passion and then the problem and trying to figure out what you can do to get involved in that. So.
Yeah, this is great. I really loved the diversity of answers you all had, because it just shows that, it's not restricted to one thing. I think it's really important as a resource. I think following groups on LinkedIn like WCS, I want to make sure I get your guys' LinkedIn correctly, and some other groups so that they post about, different trends or organizations or articles or resources, which I'll also ask you guys if you have any other publications or places that you like to get your climate tech trend news in. And it's good to see what kind of companies are being invested in. There's a lot of reporting that goes on that, especially on LinkedIn. And that's a good sign to be like, oh, this is like where the market is for some of these industries. And you can kind of track that, because typically if they had a boom in funding, it depends on the company, but usually that means they're probably going to hire at least one or two roles to just get off the ground and maybe scale as they launch further. So just something to think about. To build on that, what do you all think are the most in-demand technical and also non-technical skills in climate tech right now to make someone stand out as a candidate for some of these companies?
Well, I think there are definitely a lot of technical skills that you can acquire, and of course, I don't know if you have any STEM people in here, engineers. Those are critical to move the path forward, because climate change is a physical problem that requires an understanding of the physicality of this world. The second aspect, and I would like to share a quote by the investor Tom Chi at One Ventures: entrepreneurs are system designers. Either they realize it or not. And to me, it's really what I understand from that and how I interpret it is that you need founders, startup founders that are going to have a deep observation, deep listening within them. They're going to be able to recognize patterns, that are going to have critical thinking, and that are going to also have self-awareness. It's a great skill to have, and leadership. Founders in the space need to be leaders to themselves, to their teams, to their communities, and to the industries that they are operating in. And I wanted today to share something that I posted about recently, is that founders also need this skill, the skill of breathing. Simply breathing along the way, because, and I see founders in the room, this is a very difficult challenge and adventure that founders are on. And they need to breathe deeply. And that's not an AI technical skill, but it's human, it's the foundation. And I'll pass it to the AI experts.
Yeah. I mean, technical skills, I would say, if you're not, obviously if you have a specialty, you're a water engineer, you're something specific, that's obvious. But if you're not, what can you do? And that's where I feel that AI has done us a really, it's exciting in the sense that it's leveled the playing field. So if you can come into a startup or a place and you can say, I can help you here, I can help you here, I've done this. And if you don't know maybe that particular industry, it's so easy. It really is so easy to build yourself an app that will teach you the basics and how to do it and what to do. And then when you go in, you can say, I've built this, and this is what I've done. And so you're really showing your initiative. Startups, I think, as everybody says, those are great places to look because they need people that have initiative. And I would say for the non-technical skills, it's critical analysis. So AI is not an automation. If you're looking at it as an automation, you're probably not going to get I saw an interesting quote too today as I was coming up here. It was like, if you're using it and you're 85% right, you're probably 100% getting fired. You really need to get all of these other things. You need the human involved. You need to set the particular things. So having critical analysis skills, showing initiative, curiosity, those things, you can't underestimate that, and showing what you can bring to the table. So it's always important here. We're here because we're passionate about sustainability and climate. In the Design Your Climate Career program that I ran, we tried to do a mindset shift. We tried to say, yes, that's 100% important. However, how can you help that other person? And if you can show how you can help the other person, because that's why they're hiring, that's what they're looking for. Startup founders need help, right? We need a right hand. We need somebody who can actually go through things. And sometimes we don't even know what it is, but if we can say, like, I can do this for you, I can do that for you, I can help you. And if we have that attitude, that's going to be really take people a lot further, I think. So that's...
So I'm going to say two things that my counterparts didn't mention, which is high stakes sales. This is not a technical thing. It's actually a checklist, right? If you've done sales, anybody in the room done sales before? So some of us know that sales is really about a checklist and following up. So this is something that if you've done sales, you could do sales in pretty much any industry, right? You just have to learn the product. The other thing is behavioral science, understanding why, at least for me in the waste and recycling industry, why companies have poor infrastructure. And when I say, and I'm talking about waste infrastructure, right? Understanding why that business set up that infrastructure that way, or why that person threw that away, right? And why they're not seeing the value in that. So there's some behavioral psychology around this. And this is something that at Smart Waste, we actually study the cultures of our businesses that we choose to work with. And so that's a non-technical skill that you can learn. They've already mentioned data analysis, so I'm not going to beat that up.
Incredible. And so I want to bring this question back to you specifically. When you've been actively hiring, have you had any candidates who maybe didn't have a climate tech background? And if so, what were some of the ways they were able to demonstrate their skill sets to show that they could still flourish and thrive in the climate tech industry?
So one of the things that Smart Waste does is we work with people that are coming from recovery and as well that are going through rehabilitation. So these are things that I'm very passionate about because I believe people deserve second chances. So I believe that first and foremost, the best investment in the world is in people. It's our core values at Smart Waste is transparency, circularity, and people. And so for me, my ROI is going to see when I see this person go from maybe, yes, he or she may have been in recovery, but they've showed proof that they can keep this job. But one of the things that I think is dignity is that we're giving them a fair wage, right? So for me, I see that a couple things when I see somebody that really wants to do the work, really that's willing to put in the work. And it's even better if they're climate enthusiasts. And it's even better to me that they have good spatial awareness. It's kind of a skill to have spatial awareness when you can walk by, do a walkthrough. And a lot of people have this ability, but you really don't know that they have this ability until you give them a shot. And so for me, it's about giving people the opportunity and thinking the best in them and then giving them the pathway to get to the next step. And so I really think that everyone gets an opportunity, just depending on what they're willing to do, because the trash business is a really dirty business, right? We pull bins out, we push them back in. We have to deal with compactors. We're literally sorting your trash, right? So people have to be first and foremost willing. Secondly, I would say that when you invest in people and you are able to really give them a living wage, they build loyalty to you. So I think that when a lot of times tech companies are really focused on the outcome, at Smart Waste, I'm more focused on the process, because the outcome is an ideation, right? Zero waste is an ideation. So for me, if I'm so focused on the outcome, then I'm missing the process. And so for me, I think it's more about the process.
That's great. So I wanted to know for Yvonne, there's a lot of people right now that are online that say that AI and climate work can contradict each other. Given your experiences with AI and kind of putting your own neck out there and running a program that specifically is addressing this intersection, what might you say to someone who thinks that? And how does your program actually show some examples of how you can ethically use AI?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, we're seeing AI is not going away. That's the first thing I wanted to just say. It's here. It's going. You hear people talk about a K-shaped economy. It's unfortunate, but it's the people that actually have those skills and the ones that don't, and that's going to be going forward. What I'm seeing is it's accelerating. So, and I also look at, we've placed many, many people in sustainability professions in all different, globally, in all different types of sectors. And what I'm seeing from, is that they're usually, if you have sustainability in your title, it's a very lean team, right? It's maybe 5. I mean, if you're lucky, there's 10, or sometimes it's only you. But it's a lot of knowledge-based work. And with AI, you can actually expedite everything that you're doing. You can do it a lot faster, and then you can really focus on the impact. You can focus on, what would make the CEO really make this initiative happen. And you can ask AI and you can come up with different proposals, and you can do this really quickly. You can look at the financial aspects of it. And so it really helps you in your position. It also is, for me, when I look at it, sometimes it's people are in sustainability and something else, right? So they're not just in sustainability. But having that seat at the table and being able to be the person in the room that they come to and say, what do you think about, Sara? What do you think about with AI and this and that? Because people are, like I said, the playing field has been leveled. And it's changing so fast that people don't know. So I'll give you a couple examples from the program that and why we actually did it. So we had, in January, we had a program. It was really more vibe coding. We built, you build agentic apps. We had people from different industries, Maelys, doing sustainability and all kinds of really interesting things. And then in February, Claude Code dropped. It really did change it changed the level, the whole playing field. The agentic app that we built, you don't need it anymore. It's just the reality of it, right? It's gone, yeah. But you can do it still, and you can do it faster, and you don't need to have something separate. So all of a sudden, we were like looking at this and we were saying, this is incredible. What tool that we have that at our fingertips. And so let me tell you a little story. So we had somebody, she's in our program right now. It's 4 weeks in. She's at a consulting firm, 30,000 people. She's a cog, in the wheel. She recognized that she needed to learn, so she's upskilling. She said she went back to her boss and said, hey, look, we're working for a tech company. I built this dashboard. I built this information, I want you to see it. They did a whole demonstration for her company, where the CEO and the C-suite came, and now she said it's wild. It's like, not only I'm the person that people come to now for AI because they don't have it. So she's now on the radar as opposed to just being in there. We had somebody else. He's at like a company that has a lot of like a CBRE type. It's not CBRE, but it's like that type where they have a lot of buildings. So he built a spreadsheet that showed where all the high energy things were and things like that. He said he took it back to his boss, and then now they're rolling it out to 19 different offices. And so all of a sudden you're that person, and you know, because you have the spotlight on you for really good reasons, and you can actually implement that work. Because as you know, sustainability professionals, it's hard to, you know, get people to say, oh, you know, this is really important. Nature-based solutions, it's another one that happened. Somebody else is working at nature-based solutions. He had some data points, but they weren't big data points for some community in England that he was looking at, and how a bird had been I don't know what the term is to come back, where they came back and they're remigrated, and he wanted to build this out more. So he did it with AI. He built out this whole dashboard, and AI pulled in additional information to make it much richer, and then he could show it to his boss. He said they were ecstatic. Okay, so you have a tool that you can use, and then you can really build on it. And that, I say, you know, for sustainability professionals who are kind of sometimes shunted off into the corner, this is an amazing opportunity for us to be able to be in the room and to really talk. So
Great.
yeah.
And yeah, I just wanted to, you know, we are running a little short on time, so I do want to ask one more question for you guys. To do some resource drops, like what are the ways that people can actually read, skill up, get into climate tech? You know, it seems like such a broad sector, but I want to really educate folks on different intervention points where they can get resources. So if you all can share what your favorite things and go-to resources are that you like to use, and how people can get involved and learn about y'all's work, please feel free to share.
I'll share a very brief story first. A few years ago, I was volunteering for WCS, co-founded by Sara, and I was running events during COVID online, and I invited Beth Ratner, the former CEO of the organization that I worked at right now. And a couple years later, like, I kept in touch, and an opportunity popped up, and that really helped me move to the front of the line and get this opportunity. And this is basically a dream job. And that was kind of like a connection through WCS. So we did it.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
I think being part of communities, if that's something that is true to you, leading communities is a really good way to do that. There are great resources. Something that I was mentioning earlier, that came out of CTVC, so ClimateTech VC, to understand more like the investor side of climate tech. They come out with like very interesting reports by like Sightline. And something else also that I really encourage you to do is, of course, to build your personal brand. So look at climate tech. It's a very broad space. What in this space, what subsector is interesting to you? Where do you have like maybe a transferable skill to look at and to build content around it, memos, case studies, and to publish it, to be a part of, to have a voice in the space. And one more thing that I don't know if we mentioned that earlier today, but there are recruiters out there that are ready to be in conversation with you, that are here to have really interesting conversations with you. And I'm not just saying recruiters at the companies, but also recruiters that are doing that within recruiting companies. And they're your equals. So build relationships, share resources with them. They'll share resources with you. And I think that's like a really interesting entry point to the climate space. There are recruiters out there that are specialized in climate, in technology, at the intersection.
Okay, so I have a few resources for everyone here if you're interested in supporting waste infrastructure. Smart Waste is part of a coalition called the Circle Act. It is a bipartisan legislation to support our country here with proper waste infrastructure. So that's one resource. The second resource I was going to say is, depending on where you live, please check what your municipality sorting rules are so you could do it right. And last but not least, I'm going to say, if you're interested in zero waste, learn about zero waste facilitation. Zero waste facilitation, we are a zero waste facilitator company, which means that we facilitate between the commercial sector, public sector, and the municipalities. So if you're interested in that space, I would say learn about that. Facilitation has a lot to do with being the middle woman. We've learned a lot today that data is the new queen. And so for me, I just want to say that it's really, really important that we learn these tools and know what data we're actually looking for. A lot of times we hear data this, data that, but what is it that we're actually looking for? So in the waste industry, we calculate your waste by pounds. And then we also look at it in materials. So I'm also very interested in having people learn about materials, chemistry, chemical engineers. And so that's needed in the waste and recycling industry. And one last thing, landfills get a bad rap. But I do have to say that we actually do get stuff from landfills, methane gas, and they're doing the best they can because we're such a wasteful community and society. The last resource I'm going to say, which has been said several times today, which is Women in Clean Tech and Sustainability. When you are a part of an organization that's bigger than yourself, and that's not just for women, and it's not just for women, it's for women and men and everyone. Our objective is to help women achieve gender parity. We're looking for thought leaders. We're looking for community action. And we've been doing this before it was popular for 15 years, right? So I understand that right now it's not that popular and they're trying to cancel us. Who cares? We're still here and we're all together. So thank you everybody for being here. But the main resource that I'm gonna say is each other. There's people in this room today that want to work with you. And then there's people in this room today that want to learn from you. And I would say that, I mentioned this before, that the best investment is each other and in people. So I would just say that the best resources is make sure that you connect with people in this room and make sure you follow up with them.
That's great. Yeah. Quick kid.
Maybe I'll add one more that I think is really interesting. Is there are investors that have specific theses, like investment, like philosophies. They're investing in certain type of startups and they have job boards. So check out their job boards because they're grouping jobs at the startups that is in their portfolio companies. And that can be another entry point.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these are fantastic discussions. Green Jobs Pavilion of Green Jobs
Green Jobs Board.
Yes, is one. But then also, looking at alliances, like you said, and then looking at the companies that are in those alliances and really thinking about that and understanding where you can go. Those are really important ways to and reach out to people on LinkedIn. I think it's, don't be afraid. I get a lot of requests. Kristy, I'm sure you get a million, just reach out and say, would you be open to just quickly talking about X? But be specific. It's not just, a general thing. It's like really do some research. Look at what you can do for them and then really explain when you're on the call with them what you think you could do. They may say, oh, I don't really need that. Then it gives you the opportunity to find out what they do need so that you could potentially do something. Or they might think, I don't have anything right now, but you were just so on that next time I'm going to reach out to you. So really building your network is super important. Building your name online, I think, is also really important. Just that, oh, you're interested in waste. You're interested in clean tech. You're interested in whatever it is. And then people connect you with that and they'll reach out to you. So that would be my final.
Amazing. Can we give all of them a round of applause? Amazing. Hang tight. We're going to be hopping immediately into our storytelling panel. So hang tight.